Hi everyone, good afternoon.
Hi everyone. Happy Sunday. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much for joining the session today. So we will, start off with maybe introducing ourselves and yeah, then we can kick off the session from there.
But yes, first of all, thank you so much to everyone for joining in. We know these sessions, keeping them on weekends, sometimes
Gets
it
a bit difficult, I
yeah,
know.
because for especially for students who haven't planned yet on what they want to do, when they want to write CFE, or are unsure, for those people it can get really difficult to come on these calls and attend webinars like these. But we're very sure that if you're here today, it is going to be a session wherein you will take a lot of knowledge after we are done with it. But then for today's session, we want it to be an interactive one. So what we'll do is obviously in the Google form, you guys submitted questions to us that you wanted us to address.
Yeah.
So we do have a presentation prepared that we will go through, during this time. But then what we're thinking of doing is that we will take, some short breaks and pauses after every couple of slides just to ask if there are any additional questions that any of you have. So it would be really nice if you guys could unmute yourself, talk to us. We would really appreciate the interaction.
All right, guys. So we will kick off this
Sure.
session. All right, just a second.
You guys can see our screen, right? Or can you not?
I think now perhaps you would be able to. All right. All right, guys. So a bit about us. So I am Ravneet. I have over 8 years of post-qualification experience. I am an Indian chartered accountant. Came to Canada, completed my CPA, and have worked across different multinationals. Currently, I am leading a two growing business ventures, which is Ravgun CPA Academy, which is the CPA coaching platform for all of you. And then I am also the partner in Ravgun CPA Professional Corp, which is a tax and accounting practice.
And then I'm Guneet. Most of my post-qualification experience when I did my chartered accountancy back in India was with Deloitte. Then a couple of years back, we migrated to Canada, and then I got into Deloitte again. But then after I completed my CPA Canada here, I switched into the industry. So currently I'm working as a senior manager financial reporting with Flexity or Questrade, if you've heard of it. But yeah, alongside, I help Ravneet part-time with the business that we're doing. But yeah, over time, it's been some time since we have been mentoring CPA students from quite some time now.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're really proud to say and tell you this that at this point we have mentored around 600 students in total, and then like we mentor them in terms of coffee chats, which are pro bono, and things that we want to give back to the community as well.
So we like started off with these sessions conducting just Q&A, general basically passing on back to the community, passing on to the international chartered accountant community, and also to the students who are appearing for CPA, CFE in Canada. We started off with these like free of cost webinars similar to what we are holding today, and over a period of time, we gradually moved into providing more support to all of you by way of technical courses, case marking support so that you can benefit like from us right from ball one and to the very end to the end of your basically appearing for CFE. Okay. So first things first, why all of you are here today in the session today. All of you obviously want to become CPA, and the motivation to become CPA arises from a couple of points. Some of the students today or tomorrow want to become or open their own tax and accounting practice, for which CPA is a not a prerequisite as such. But yes, if you want to pursue it professionally, you want to provide tax advisory services, you want to go into assurance services, surely you should be and have to do, CPA.
And I would say, even if you want to have a competitive edge from other people,
Yeah.
in the market, because we are in this business now, so we know that how much it matters to have that. professional designation in the country that you're in, like you really get that respect out in the market.
Yeah.
So it's a differentiator for sure.
And like even if you are into the industry, if you would look at your job profiles above from where you are currently operating at, say currently you are senior accountant or analyst, let's say, if you would look at your future positions, you would see in that job description or the prerequisites that CPA is a must, like for more or less most of the jobs for manager plus positions. So if you want to progress up the ladder, CPA is one of the things that you should be pursuing.
And that is how Ravneet and I went. Like after we qualified our chartered accountancy here, our CPA designations here, that is when we got these amazing opportunities that we definitely wouldn't have gotten in the
Yeah.
corporates had we not have this professional designation. Because, even if it's a position that does not require a CPA, but if you are a CPA, obviously you will be preferred
Yeah.
over somebody who, does not have that designation. So again, like our thinking or our take on this is that whatever country you are in, you should definitely have a professional degree of that country if you're able to get it
Yeah.
some way. So it's always going to be, like an additional feather in your
Cap.
hat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So we will quickly also touch upon for any of the students who are there on the call today, but are like pursuing CPA Canada through the international MOU route. So we will just quickly touch upon what the registration or timeline actually looks like.
Because we did receive this question from a couple of students
Yeah.
who filled the form. So we will briefly go through this.
Yeah. So if you would see, when you register as a global accountant, the basic documents that you generally need is a good standing certificate from your international accounting body, then a resume. There is no specific format for a resume, just a standard one. And
They just want to see how much of
experience do you actually have?
qualification experience in your like home country designation do you
Yeah.
actually have. So that's about it. There's no like format per se that they're expecting.
And to more substantiate about your education, they need a World Education Services or WES ICAP report. This is not required if you have more than 5 years of post qualification experience, but if you have less than 5 years, then you need a WES report as well. Talking about experience to prove experience, generally a resume is sufficient. If you have more than 2 years of experience, a resume is sufficient. But if you have less than 2 years of post qual experience, then a PER form, a practical experience requirement form, is required to be filled in, submitted. CPA body analyzes it, and then your process moves forward.
Again, so these documents that we're talking about, this is only for the people who have degrees from their home country.
Yeah.
And those institutes, they have an MOU with CPA Canada, because of which you will only be, you only have to write the CFE, the common final examination for CPA Canada. So this list of documents is only for those people.
And once you have all these documents, you submit it to the CPA body. The timeline that they take is around 12 weeks. That is what the website also states. So you should keep around 3 months, for yourself to register. And when we talk about registration, so if you see on your right, so student registration for June 26, it is currently closed. For September 26, we did, recommend many students in the last couple of months that Feb 26 is the last time that you should try registering. But even if there is someone on the call today who wants to appear for September, you can give yourself a shot because March has just started. So if you see the timelines when we say 3 months, let's say if you have all the documents today, so we are in March, April, and May. So more or less by mid or end of May, you can get registered as a CPA student. Why that timeline is very important? Because when it comes to CFE exam enrollment dates, so first is you being a CPA student, second is you registering for the CFE exam. For September, the last date in with CPA Ontario is 25th of May to register for the CFE exam. So obviously before this date you have to be a CPA student. So which is why we are saying that today or tomorrow is the time that you just get
You
on
have
with
to
the
submit your student registration application, and after that submission, they will take around 3 months
yeah
to register you.
Yeah, WSB or the BC CPA, they are relatively quicker, and their time window is a bit different. So anyone appearing or basically on the call from the West today, you can directly reach out to us. But these timelines are more from CPA Ontario perspective, and also perhaps Atlantic area as well. And then talking about cost, generally you're looking at an overall cost of around 2,600. Registration cost is 800, and CFE exam cost is around 1,800 plus taxes. All right. So like talking about, so that was the, our introduction and a bit about the CFE registration part. Now talking about CFE structure. How does the CFE structure actually play out? What is CFE about? What are the different focus areas on different days? So first day, so there are 3 days, day one, day two, and day three. All these combined together is what we call as CFE. Day one, when we talk about day one, so you are basically given a case on day one. When we talk about case, it is basically, you are given factual data of a particular corporation on which you need to do certain strategic decision making. So day one is not a technical based exam per se. So when we say technical, when we use the word technical, we are meaning financial reporting. We mean taxation, we mean management accounting.
So in total, there are 6 technical subjects in CFE. Like Ravneet said, it's financial reporting, management accounting, taxation, assurance, strategy governance, and finance. So these are the 6 subjects that you are tested on in the CFE. But again, like Ravneet is saying, for day one, you're generally not tested on the technicals at all. Day one is solely a strategic exam.
Yeah, so it is always a strategic based exam. You basically are put into the shoes of a business decision maker, you can say, wherein, you are given a couple of projects to consider. You have, say, $1 million in hand, and there are two projects. How do you evaluate that? They give you certain set of facts, qualitative facts, plus some quantitative analysis as well. They don't tell you whether you need to calculate net present value, whether you need to calculate internal rate of return. They just give you qualitative facts, quantitative facts. You need to analyze from both the perspectives, qualitative and quantitative, and then conclude. There will be 4 to 5 different projects or questions or assessment opportunities that they will ask you, and then in the end you actually conclude. What do you as a CPA or as a business decision maker, what do you think of the overall conclusion?
But again, day one is one case, which is a 4 hour case. So the first thing here is that um, if you see the headings, we've mentioned that day one is evaluated separately, and day two and day three are evaluated in combination. So what that means is, like Ravneet explained, day one is the only exam which does not include any technical, subjects. We can say that it does include a little bit of finance, because when the quantitative analysis comes in for those projects, you actually do use finance and finance formulas and technicals a lot. But it's a way of saying that day one is not a technical based exam.
Yeah.
Day two and day three, on the other hand, are fully technical based exams that we will talk about more. But because both day two and day three are technical based exams, they are evaluated together.
Yeah.
What we mean by evaluated together is that, for example, if somebody clears day one and day two, but they did not clear day three, for example, then because day two and day three are evaluated together,
Yeah.
they will have to reappear for both day two and day three,
Right.
even if they fail any one of it. But then if they clear day one is gone. Like, they don't have to attempt it again. That is what we mean when we say day one is separate evaluation, but day two and day three are evaluated together.
And when we go further, as Guneet mentioned, day two and day three are more technical based exam. So how do day two and day three differentiate? So when we talk about day two, you are focusing on attaining depth. So that is what CPA body wants from you. When we say depth, we mean specialization or showing your expertise in a particular subject. So there are 3 subjects which are mainly tested on your day two. First is financial reporting, second is management accounting, and third is an elective which you basically choose. So if you see down at the bottom, elective, you can choose one out of these 4: assurance, tax, performance management, or finance. So basically, you are getting tested on financial accounting or reporting, management accounting, and one of your electives, let's say assurance in this case.
Whatever, like, you get an option to choose any one elective role out of these 4. And if you take a look at this chart carefully, you will see that elective is a subject which is only tested on day two. It's not tested on day one, and it's also not tested on day three. So like that in itself emphasizes how important day two is for that
Yeah.
elective subject, because that
Yeah.
is the only opportunity you get to showcase depth and knowledge in your elective that you've chosen.
And when you come to day three, how does day three differentiate? So, okay, day two was about showing your expertise. Day three is about showing your breadth, basically. So, six competencies are tested on day three. All of the six, which are listed down below: FR, MA, audit assurance, all of that. So, your objective on day three, or what CPA body expects out of you, is for you to showcase that you know all of it. Because you, as a CPA, let's say you work in an industry and you work in the finance department. Although you may be doing some FP&A jobs and maybe doing some accounting as well, but there would be portions of taxes also. There will be portions of strategies also. So you as a CP are expected to know all of that. That is how you actually showcase your expertise here.
And another difference between day two and day three is that day two is a 5 hour long case. One case, but 5 hour long. Whereas in day three, you have three cases. It is a total of 4 hour, but you have three cases that you need to write in those 4 hours. So basically, it can be like one case would be 60 minutes, one
Yeah.
would be 70, one would be 80, whatever differentiation by that. But three cases which will like be under 240 minutes basically.
Good. So that was about the CFE structure. Now,
Let's do this
yeah,
slide and then we can pause for
yeah,
questions.
sure. So which role should I choose for elective on day two? So if you would see in the back slide here, we mentioned that, financial reporting, management, accounting, plus one of your electives. So what elective you should actually be choosing? So if you see, we have noted a couple of general notions that different people have. So, one of the notions is, let's say, someone says that I have always been in tax. I know a bit of Canadian tax because maybe I work for an accounting firm or a public accounting wherein I do tax. So this is a no-brainer for me. I should always choose tax. Maybe because, it will help increase my knowledge and, things like that. The like the fact pattern here is, let's say even in my case itself, I have always been into international corporate tax throughout my career. However, still knowing that, I still chose assurance as my role when I, gave my exams back in the day. Why was that? Is because, as a matter of fact, like in the market, 85% of the people actually choose assurance, whosoever it is. 85% of the people go for assurance. Why is that? Assurance is one of the most, logical exams that you can come across. Plus, if you are studying with a peer or a colleague, or you need to discuss anything, there will be more people or more students whom you can interact with, share resources, discuss some numbers.
And generally, if you go out in the market, you will notice that even the availability of resources for the other three subjects is not as much.
Yeah.
Like Ravneet is giving an example of himself. He actually took some time at the time and he researched outside in the market to see if he was able to find any tutor or if he was able to find any resources in the market. And he was not able to find anything because, like he said, most of the student base does choose assurance. The reason is very simple. Like again, Ravneet said the same thing, that it is a theoretical subject, but it is also very logical. The thing with the other three electives is that they are all numerical based, formula based, or like heavily relying on technicals. For example,
Yeah.
taxation. If there is, even if you choose taxation and you prepare for it, let's say there comes a question that on some amendment or something that you didn't know about. Now you will have absolutely no idea what to do in that
Yeah.
question. But here's where people who took assurance benefit, that even if there comes up one-off question in assurance, which it does come every attempt now and then, but then those questions are still theoretical and you're still able to use your other knowledge to answer those questions logically. So you're any day better attempting them, right?
Yeah.
So that's, one of the reasons why, like, we as tutors, and even if you go out in the market, you will hear almost everybody
Yeah.
recommending you to take assurance.
So which is why, these are the specific reasons why you should be, basically inclining towards assurance. Do not choose elective based on the notion that, okay, if I choose the selective, it will help me perform in my job better. It may, but in this case, your objective is to clear the
Clear the
exam.
exam. Yeah.
Your objective should be straight to clear the exam.
Yeah.
Not that it will help you in your job. It may, but let's just get the focuses right.
Yeah. And then we've had students come to us and say that, like we want to do performance management, for example, because we think that if we take this as an elective, that will increase our chances of getting a job in, like in the performance management field. And we have to tell this to students so many times that nobody cares. Once you get this designation, nobody will even ask you outside in the market what elective you chose, because CPA Canada in itself is a very heavy designation.
Yeah.
Nobody asks you, like even till today, it's been so many years, nobody ever asked us what we took as an elective. So it doesn't matter. What matters is clearing the exam that you're writing. That should be your utmost priority.
Right. Yeah. Okay. So before we move forward, we can take some quick questions. If anyone wants to unmute and ask questions, or maybe raise your hand. All right. No problem. So we will just carry on and, basically address the questions that we received from the larger group today.
You can put your questions in the chat box as well if there's anything that you want us to talk about.
Yeah, sure. Okay. So going forward and, discussing about why does CFE actually become challenging? Many of you are in the process of maybe appearing for June, maybe for September. Some of you may be aware about the sort of things that you actually face, but we will still like to apprise the group here and also address the questions that we received. So, couple of challenges, or in fact, the primary challenge is about time management or time constraint. So, when you start preparing for CFE, you will realize that time management is one of the major issue. You would have seen in the CFE structure that we shared that, let's say, day two exam is worth 5 hours. But that 5 hours or those 300 minutes are not enough when you actually come to writing the cases. How to basically distinguish the time to read a case, how to write a case, and how much time you should be allotting to a case, because more or less most of us are working full time, working in industries, used to perfection, used to like perfectioning our reports, which is why when you know a particular topic so well, let's say you were addressing a question on intangible assets and that was the very first question, and you know the response, you know how to write, instead of using the allotted time, like you allot the time yourself of 20 minutes, instead of using 20 minutes you may spend 40-45 minutes just writing that, which actually impacts your other assessment opportunities.
And this actually happens with you, right? Like you will see this when you actually start practicing.
Yeah.
Right now, because we remember the times when we were, looking at it, and when the first time that I got to know that, the cases are going to be 4 hour, 5 hour, and 4 hours, I was like, wow, that's so much time. Like, I'll
Yeah.
definitely be able to finish the case within that time. But it is only when I started writing cases, when I got to know what I've stepped into, that it came as a shock that even those 4 hours, 5 hours on day two would fall short, and I would actually miss out on questions even in that time frame. Like it's a very time crunched exam. You can imagine you're given one case and there are so many questions in that one case. You actually, like Ravneet said, you this is where the strategy part comes in. Before you actually head into the exam, you should have a very clear setup in your mind that this much time is going to go towards reading.
Yeah.
Every AO that I'm attempting, this is the time, allotted time or allocated time that Ravneet mentioned. 20 minutes is the time that I have to give to each AO. I cannot cross that. When you start writing day two cases,
Yeah.
especially with the FR questions, 40 minutes easily you candidates or you will spend on that one question. But it is only with time that you will start understanding that putting 40 minutes into that one question means you miss out on one or two other questions in the exam. So, these are issues that you will face when you start writing cases.
And then when we said that day two is focused on your depth, and especially the depth in your elective, because that is the only day that you actually can showcase your depth in your elective. Let's say you chose assurance as your elective. So, showing depth in assurance is of priority on day two, right? But the flow of the exam will be such that financial reporting questions and MA questions or management accounting questions will come first. So the first 6 questions, let's say out of the 13 questions that you are generally tested on day two, the first 6 would be on financial reporting and management accounting. Your natural tendency would be to address those first. And obviously, when most students spend like 50% of the time just doing financial reporting, which is why they would feel that no, no, I will do revenue first, I will do leases first. So, in the end, the time overflow, which Guneet was mentioning earlier, those 40 minutes or extra 20 minutes that you spent, where are you compromising on? You are compromising on your assurance. However, your objective of day two was to attain depth in assurance, and you missed out the AOs or questions altogether. So you understand the point here, that which is why strategy, or basically knowing what the focus of the exam is very, very important. And this is how we have been helping students as well over a period of time.
The other challenges is students already know that it's an open book exam. So you always go with this tendency that, even if some question comes that I don't know about, I'll just refer to the handbook and I'll get my answers. But again, it's not as easy. Before going into the handbook, before going into the exam, you need to know what is where in the handbook. Otherwise, you are not able to find it on the day of the exam, because the way it's structured, the way the time management works on that day, the way the laptop that you're provided and the screens that are working, they all work in a way that it's not easy to
Yeah.
go and find what you're looking for in
Yeah.
Knotia or the handbook on that day. Another thing to add to that is that it's a computerized exam, so it's possible that most of us global chartered accountants who are coming from our home countries, we're not used to giving computerized exams, or even for that matter case structured exams. We're generally used to like exams which were in question and answer format, directly asking the technical question, okay, what is the definition of this standard, what
Yeah.
are the procedures to be followed for doing this thing. But here it is a very practical case given to you, which are basically actual case facts where you have to apply your brains in order to answer any question.
Yeah.
Right? It's not as simple as just question and answer on technicals.
And also, on say again on day two, you are so that's the 5 hour exam that you have to attempt. So, sitting for 5 hours straight, being into that case all the time, and then answering your responses, trying to gather what you actually read in the first hour in your fifth hour, it is very, grueling on your brain itself, which is why a bit of practice is required when you are preparing. Sometimes, when you start writing D2 cases, you will feel overwhelmed. You will feel that CFE is not for you. CFE is very difficult because day two is one of the areas, where you face the difficulty. Because for day three, as we discussed, that day three is a pack of three cases. So generally, when you practice, you just practice one case, which could be of 70 or 80 minutes, right? So that is not very difficult on your brain, or it is not very exerting. But yes, day two overall is very exerting. So, sitting for that exam straight is very difficult. And then talking about the exams, day one, day two, and day three are back to back. So let's say on June 2 would be your day one, then June 3, day two, and June 4, day three. June 1, sorry, like your day one would still be fine. You would be, okay and like fresh from your preparation. Day two as well. But when you actually move towards day three, which will be your third day, it gets a bit difficult. And you also need to, as a strategy or a counter attacking strategy to these challenges, you should actually also be planning in advance how you will be revising in those last couple of days.
Again, these issues that we are discussing, these are not to scare you. It's just
Yeah.
the things or the ideas that you should be comfortable with when you are entering into the preparation stage. Because only once you know what challenges you are going to face, only then you will be able to prepare for them beforehand.
Correct.
And I believe that these are the things that, like, especially students who have been with our academy, these are the things that have helped them the most. Because when we do the strategy sessions as part of our technical course that we offer, we talk about all of these issues that students face,
Yeah.
right? And then we tell them how they are able to work on them or target them to be able to be prepared for it.
Basically, how
So
to overcome these
exactly,
challenges, right? Like it is very
exactly.
important to know the challenges,
For
sure, but then
exactly.
how to overcome it is also the thing that you should be knowing.
But yeah, on the slide here again, we do have some other like issues, like that challenges that students face. For example, they don't write enough cases, they don't practice enough. So if you're not practicing enough yourself before the exam, then obviously on the day of exam you will not be like fully on
Confident.
it or
Yeah.
confident, and then you will not have that even typing
Yeah.
speed practice for that
And
day.
also some students may be practicing many cases, but not debriefing.
Yeah.
Not when we say debrief, it is basically self-reviewing your own case. So the number of cases actually don't matter if you are not debriefing. When you debrief, you improve case over case. Like we have had students in our academy who came to us like 2 months before the exam, practiced 10, 12 cases, and still were able to pass. Not because our course is so perfect, but because we gave them the right strategies. So, here we want to emphasize, not to emphasize that 2 months are enough, but to emphasize that strategy is more important, and not just, keep on writing cases after cases.
Another challenge that I want to talk about, perhaps after that we can move
Yeah.
forward, is that technicals. A lot of students
Yeah.
we've seen, they spend months doing technicals because of the resources that they refer to.
Yeah.
If the resources are actually similar to handbook, which are just plain standards given to you, given to students, in that case, what happens is that you're working alongside and then you have to study.
Yeah.
That in itself is a difficult thing to do because you have to be consistent, you have to be disciplined
Yeah.
to be able to take out that 1 or 2 hour time frame every day to spend on studying,
Yeah.
right? But then students spend couple of months doing technicals, but even after that, even after those 2 months, they've forgotten what they studied in the first month.
Yeah.
Even after spending those 2 months, they when they want to revise in the third month, they don't know how to revise because they can't take up or pick up those same books that took them 2 months to finish in the first place. That is a problem a lot of students have faced, that who come to us later on. The thing with that is, even after doing the technicals, you will still not be able to pass the exam.
Right.
Right? Because, like we mentioned, technicals is one part of this exam.
Yeah.
The actual test or the actual exam is a case.
Yeah.
So, applying those technicals to that case is something which is a gap.
Yeah.
And which not a lot of students or tutors, even in the market, are able to bridge for the students. And this is something that we've like very strategically, and we've taken a lot of time to prepare our course or the study material and even the strategy sessions in a way that we are able to bridge that gap for our students, which has been working really well.
Yeah.
So, again, these are different kinds of issues that
Yeah.
will come to your way when you actually start studying.
First, like try doing the maths as Ganeet was mentioning here. Let's say you are preparing from ebooks, 5,000 pages, roughly, let's say 250 hours. Now, for your September attempt, let's say you are attempting September, 6 months, try dividing those 250 hours over those 6 months, and then see how many hours you are able to devote a day, by what time you will actually be able to complete the technicals. That is one part. Then you start writing cases. And then, as Guneet was mentioning, to effectively write a case, you need to know your technicals. So the technicals that you did 4 months before, you should be remembering now. So you need to have those summary notes, or basically your own notes as well, that you would have to prepare alongside studying those 250 hours, right? So you try doing the maths of it, whatever resources you are referring to, try doing a math how that actually you are able to tackle. So I think we have discussed a bit of counter-attacking strategy to all of these challenges that we were discussing, that how you can basically uh, overcome these challenges. But just a couple of them to very very briefly touch is, you should have a detailed study schedule that you should be following, and which we will be discussing in the session later today as well. We have devised a very quick study schedule for all of you. Try writing mock exams. So 5 hour 4 hours, as we were saying, are very very tiring on you. But if you are prepared for it, if you prepare for it a couple of times before the exam, so the exam day would relatively be easier, obviously. And then nausea or the handbook should be used only in very specific situations and not all the time. Although handbook or nausea, that is something which we say all the time, that CPA is an open book exam, so we can go to the nausea or handbook, but that is not very easy, because everything takes time. And that was our very first issue. The time constraint is the very first issue. So how do you actually manage that is, we discussed during our course as well. And yeah, we have a lot of other strategies as well.
And these strategies are more, like when you step into the preparation, then these will make more sense to you. So again, the dynamic that we have in the webinar today, or the meeting today, it's very diverse. So we would say that if you are, in a specific stage, and you have any specific questions, then it would be nice if you want to speak up right now, or even reach out to us later. But yeah, like that is why we are trying to keep this call pretty standard for all the students, so that we don't go a lot into detail, and then it's not helpful for the others on the meeting.
All right. So then moving towards how and where you can actually start. This was the basis. We discussed about CFE structure, we discussed about challenges and a bit of strategy as well, how you can overcome that. Knowing all of it, now you as a student, if you are wanting to start, what are your sources or what you should actually be knowing? So see, there are two things. One is technical material, and then we have case writing. Talking about technical material, we will focus on technicals first and then we will move towards case writing. So talking about technical material, what sort of sources are there available? So two major sources. One is the CPA study material, which we call as Knotia or ebooks or handbook. And then second are tutor-led technical courses. Case writing we will discuss afterwards. So, talking about the technical courses, first we would like to discuss a bit about ourselves, what sort of courses we are offering currently, and how we have helped in the market. So, in the last couple of attempts, our success rate with the students who have appeared with us has been over 90%, specifically speaking for May 25 and September 2025. What do we actually cover in our technical course? So, whatever you actually need to pass for CFE, we cover all of that. So, you do not need to refer or get any other resource from outside at all. So we cover everything for you. You are able to cover all the six CFE competencies which we discussed, financial reporting, tax, all of that in under 40 to 50 hours. So we will give you access to the sessions. You can, go through those sessions per your own convenience. Then we will also conduct live strategy sessions or live case walkthroughs. So what are the strategy sessions? Is basically that is the bridge between your technicals and case writing. We help you how to read a case, how to write a case, how
We do
to
these
debrief.
strategy sessions separately for each day. So in each strategy session, we go through an actual case with you. We start reading the case with you, and then we tell you how do you read a case, what is important that you underline, how do you make notes or make your outline in the case, and how do you actually start writing the case. Then we tell you how the technical that you studied for that question that is asked, how do you apply that technical and structure your response. So these sessions in itself, these are so much of value addition we felt over the years, and the attempts that have gone into it, that this has been really helpful for the students. Because if you look out, people do know what technicals are. Okay, we are studying from the books and things like that. Then it takes them like at least a couple of cases to start understanding what CPA body is expecting from them in the cases. But then with the help of these strategy sessions, we were able to help students start practicing effectively from the very first go. So that is something that really helped them, especially candidates who are working and who do not get many leaves from the office. So like covering everything, even like when Ravneet said that we are covering all the six subjects for technicals, that includes assurance elective as well. So the sixth subject that we're talking about, that is assurance, right? So we cover all the subjects in the technical material, then we do the strategy sessions, which are very helpful. But then alongside, the best part is that you have access to us, which is something that makes us very unique from the other tutors, because you're never able to speak to them directly. But with us, once you start your course or start your CFE preparation with us, we are people who will walk with you until you've cleared the exam. It may take whatever number of attempts. If you're not able to give the first one, or what, in whatever situation, we'll be with you throughout that way. That's the best part about us, we believe.
Plus, one of the major challenges which we were discussing earlier is, let's say you have 6 months, you were studying from ebooks, 250 hours, then you also need to revise. You don't have that much of time. With us, you are able to complete all technicals in under 40 to 50 hours. The best part with that is not, the first time you are able to surely complete, sure, then you would, in comparison may say that I am able to complete ebooks also in 200 hours. But the problem is that you also need to revise what you studied, say in March. You won't be able to practically retain by August, which is why how we have devised our notes or our summary notes as well. What you do in March, you revise that in August, you revise that in July, you revise that in June. And we will show that with to you with the help of an example as well in the following slides, how you actually pan out your next 6 months if you are appearing, say, for September and even for June, for that matter. And then comes our case marking support. So the first part was the technical course. You are done with technicals with us, let's say, and also with the strategy sessions. Then comes our case marking support. So all what we learned under the technical sessions and the strategy sessions, now it is time to implement. You get a detailed case study schedule from our side, a pack of 26 cases that you get. So those 26 cases you get to write on your own, but out of those 26, we also mark 7 cases. The rest 19 cases, we give you a calendar, like line by line calendar, when you should be doing
Those
what.
are past year CFE cases. So that's something that we just plan for you, that, these are the cases that you should write. These are the weeks. We give you a week wise schedule basically, because again, this is something that we came up with after students requested it from us. Because for most of the people, what was happening was that with work and preparation, they were not able to understand how to spread the cases,
Yeah.
how many cases for day two to practice, how many cases for day three,
Yeah.
when to start day one practice.
Yeah.
So that is when we came up with this week-wise schedule,
Yeah.
wherein we gave students, the number that, this many cases you're going to do this week, and then they're able to follow that, and it works well because they're able
Yeah.
to self-practice, but then it's also mixed with some external markings that they're getting done with us.
So that was about our course. Talking about, a bit more about the course structures. How do we compare, maybe with the CPA Canada structures and other CPA tutors, just for you to understand a bit more, a bit better. So talking about CPA Canada, so the technical material that you get generally from them are a set of ebooks, which is roughly 800 pages per competency or per subject. Plus, they also offer you a case marking support. Obviously, the cost for study material is nil, but you need to pay a certain dollar for case marking depending which CPA body you are registering with. Then for course completion, it generally takes, as we said, 5,000 pages, roughly takes like 3-4 months just to complete technicals. And revision is practically impossible because you also need to devote time towards case writing. Pros obviously is, that will give you 100% coverage if you actually read those 5,000 pages.
Because you're actually just going through the whole standard. For example, for IFRS 15 revenue, you are going through the full standard, which starts from glossary, definitions,
Yeah.
like how, from the very basic steps of revenue recognition and everything. So,
Yeah.
in the thing with this is that obviously it's a full
Package.
package for sure, but then as a student, you don't even know what to focus on. What is it out of this whole book which will be tested in the exam?
Yeah.
So that's where you end up wasting a lot of time.
Yeah. And then talking about like other CPA tutors who are there, roughly you can say the average is around 300 pages per subject. Cost roughly varies around 25 to $3,000. The course completion, again, because the books are still voluminous, around 300 pages, it generally takes 3 months for technicals, and revision is relatively easier than CP Canada, but it is still very difficult. But yes, and then they cover around 90-95%. Syllabus, again, time consuming, a bit
But we've
expensive.
had many students, come to us from different prominent tutors in the market, and this is what, like we've heard from a lot of them. That they just kept attending 3 hour long live sessions on a daily basis, and even after doing all of that for 2 to 3 months, even after that, they were completely blank on the technicals in their minds because, again, no focus on what is important. They just keep reading through the standards with you. So obviously, it's not that helpful.
Coming to what we have been offering, a bit of this we have already discussed. So we give you summarized notes which are in Q&A format. Technical sessions get you get access to that. Then we also conduct live strategy sessions, and you also get access to case marking. Overall cost for all of this is around 1500 if you also include the case marking. Then the course completion is where the game changes. If you are actually able to invest a good amount of your time initially, even 3 weeks is something that you would be able to get the entire technicals in. Obviously, you can spread the course. As we said, the course is around 40 to 50 hours. It is up to you how you want to spread it. But if, say, if you are attempting June, which we will discuss in a while, so you would be able to get done with all the technicals in 2 to 3 weeks. Plus, you can still revise it multiple times, which actually gives you the confidence. So, doing your technicals once is not enough, is what we have been saying to the students all the time. And for the students who are actually in our course, why our success rate is so high or more than 90%? Because students are able to revise the same thing like multiple times, right?
And the thing is, the way we teach, we don't just go through, first of all, we don't, like you said, like we said, our notes are summarized. They're not, we don't read through standards with you.
Yeah.
We are actually teaching you what is important and what is tested. And then the way we teach it in our courses, that students are able to memorize as and when we are talking through it, because that's the way we teach, that we make you memorize the things as well.
Right. And then we do conduct live case walkthroughs. You have specific strategy sessions for day one, two, three. You also get access to our global accountant community where we have different people, or I should say international students, or even the local CPA students who are preparing for the exams. Then we also conduct some bi-weekly or monthly coffee chats. So these are just Q&A sessions. You pop in, ask your questions, ask whatever you feel like, technical, non-technical, whatever. More than this, the main thing, which is actually really, really important in CFE, is mentoring. So we do support you through your entire course until you actually, clear your CFE, we can say, in terms of questions. Because in the end, guidance or mentoring, like you can take a course either from, CPA Canada, any tutor, even from us. But what actually matters is if you have a question, something comes up, you have a question, who is there to answer to you? We offer you that community as well, where you can, just come in, ask your questions in the group. Plus, you can also, you have access to me and Guneet directly as tutors, and we help you navigate through the process. Just in case, let's say you have 3 months left in your preparation, you have taken our course, and you want certain specific customization on that. How should I actually progress? So we help you on that too. Talking a bit about now case marking, or case writing. How many cases are generally enough? This is a very ballpark numbers that you can generally use. Like for day one, generally 2 to 3 day one cases are generally enough. Day two, 5 to 8 day two cases, and day three, 12 to 18 day three cases. This is a good range of cases, minimum and maximum, that you should be doing if you want to prepare well for the exams. And yes, I think we have talked a bit about debrief as well, that the importance of debrief, that just writing cases is not enough. You should actually also be focusing on debriefing or self-evaluating your case. And then benefits of getting cases externally marked. It is up to you if you want to go for case marking with an external marker. Could be anyone else, could be us, or could be even your peers or friends or colleagues whom you are preparing with. The main objective or the main focus here is to get a second eye or a second opinion on your own case, because obviously there is a self review thread.
Yeah, because generally it happens when you're reviewing your own work, you tend to be biased, and you don't like pay a lot of attention to things. So that is where external marking helps, because a second person who lays eyes on your work, they will be able to point out more improvement points. But again, it's a balance. Like most of the part or most of the bigger chunk of cases should be self-reviewed,
Yeah.
because until and unless you self-practice them, it won't get better, right? But then some cases, when you feel ready, they should be externally marked, so that you get to know from somebody else's perspective also where all can you improve more.
Yeah. Okay. So last couple of slides, and these are very, very important in terms of people we have seen in the form that you guys filled up, that I would say most of you are preparing for September. Then there are some for June as well. So if so today we are, just at the beginning of March, first week of March. How does your plan look like for June 2026? So we are at March. From here, we won't suggest you to, spend the entire March just doing technicals. The reason is you should, basically keep some gas or some energy left for the balance part of your preparation as well. From here, your strategy should be the next 2.5 weeks should be focused purely on technicals and strategy sessions. Get done with that. So this is the plan if you're starting today, right? If you are already ahead of the process, obviously you can accelerate all of this. Let's say you are starting today, this is still achievable. Next 2.5 weeks, do get done with your technical sessions, strategy sessions, and then move towards case writing. So in March, you have to start your case writing as well. Why we are pushing you to, start cases? Because, a lot of knowledge or a lot of learning also lies in case writing. Plus, the earlier you get done with your technicals, you will have more time for cases, plus also to revise technicals. So in March, focus is just start off with technicals, next 2.5 weeks, and then start off with your case writing. And April or May, which would be your last 2 months of your preparation, revise these technicals 2 to 3 times before the exam, and you would be able to.
You would be able to. We generally suggest, like our students, that almost after every 2 weeks, you should be giving a quick revision to technicals, because it is human mind. You tend to forget things,
Yeah.
right? So it's very important that you keep revising those technicals so that until the day of exam, the technicals are still fresh in your mind. And why we keep emphasizing on this is because, like we said, it's going to be a time crunched exam. So if you remember the technicals, which our students definitely do remember very well because of the course, they what works better for them is, and what gives them an edge in terms of time management is that they are able to paraphrase technicals in their own words.
Yeah.
Which works very well because they don't have to waste time going back and forth with Knotia and copying over long technicals and things like that. Yeah. Right? So they're able, like when they look into the question, they know what technical it's going to be applicable and what exactly the response is going to be.
A quick couple of tips for the June guys would be, don't focus on writing too many cases. Obviously, there is not a lot of time. You have around 90 days left, but don't focus writing on a lot of cases. So write like reasonable number of cases, but focus on your quality of debrief. And then surely, as we mentioned, do revise your technicals a couple of times. Don't presume that you did your technicals in, March, mid of March and April or May. You do not need to revise, because your quality of cases actually depend on your technicals as well. Obviously, it depends on the case structuring, how you write your case, but you should be knowing your technicals well, right?
But let's say, what if a question comes in the exam from IFRS 15 revenue and it's a question on principal agent relationship or bill and hold assignment or bill and hold arrangement? Now, for somebody who has not revised technicals, they will be like, oh, I studied this, but I am not able to recall what should be the answer to this.
Yeah.
In the case, if you don't know the technical, the question is gone. Like, what will you write in the question if you don't know the technical?
Then all
That
you
is
will,
why we are emphasizing so much on revising technicals.
then all you will be doing is, going to Nausea, trying to
Finding
figure
it.
out, and then spending 20-30 minutes, and still that technical that you have found out may not be correct. So, technicals are as important as case writing, which is why the right balance is very much required. Okay, now moving towards people or students who are writing September 2026. So we have entered March. So we have roughly almost, 6.5 months for your September exam, because September is like mid of the month. So how your strategy or plan should actually look like.
Now, this is going to be a good one and something which you will build on slowly, is because you do have a good amount of time in hand right now.
Yeah.
So, the good thing that works for people who are still planning to write in September is that you start with the technical sessions today.
Yeah.
How that will help you if you start today is that right now you don't have that routine of sitting daily and giving out 1 hour or 2 hour study, but because you have this good time frame in hand, you can use it in a way that you can start slowly. You can start maybe giving, say, 2 3 hours every week.
Yeah.
Right? And then you slowly start bringing that consistency and that discipline, that routine of studying, on a daily basis
Yeah.
into your schedule.
And like
While
even if you're not able to study on a daily basis, obviously because starting you are a bit lackadaisical, you are not able to commit maybe 30-40 minutes a day only. So maybe spend 2 or 3 days in a week, but the overall time commitment in the week could be like 3 to 4 hours.
and that would be enough. It's
Yeah.
up to you if you want to do it on weekends. You don't want to take out, the weekdays
Yeah.
and extra time on weekdays. Again, that being said, you still can give these 2 months to technical sessions. And then in the next month, which will be May, that will be the month wherein we will be conducting the live strategy sessions, which will help you start with the case writing.
Yeah.
So the point is that until May, you should be done with your technicals. You
Yeah.
should have finished your technicals. And in May, as soon as we get done with the strategy sessions, you can actually start with your case writing practice.
And if you were actually to do the maths here, so we are talking about around 40 hours of technicals. 60 days, we are talking 40 hours, which is roughly like 30-40 minutes a day. So, that is very much achievable. Wherein you are comparing with resources where you have to spend 200 to 250 hours, here you just need to spend 30-40 minutes a day. And in the next 2 months, you will be done with all your technicals. And consider you have more time. You do not have any family or personal obligations. You can devote 2-3 hours, devote that, accelerate your preparation, but still do not do anything more in these 2 months, because you need to save energy for the last. These 2 months should be focused on doing those technicals, then maybe revise it. The revision that we have pushed into the last 3 months, because that is where the actual effectiveness is more. But you can do a revision or two during this time as well.
And then we come at the last final 3 months, which will all be about your case writing practice,
Yeah.
your debriefing. Good thing when you start early on time is that you don't have to rush things. You don't have to, like write a case every 2-3 days consecutively and then debrief every day with a time frame in mind that, oh, I only have 3 hours to debrief this case, so I have to wrap it up within that time.
Yeah.
So the good thing for you if you start now is that you will have enough time and enough energy as well. You can take things slow,
Yeah.
right? And like still be effective when you are studying. So
Yeah.
that that this is the plan that we believe
Yeah.
will work very well. Even if you're a June attempt writer or September.
Yeah.
September, obviously, you do have a lot of time, but even if you're somebody who's aiming to write June,
Yeah.
it is still possible. You still have 90 days, and 90 days is still a good amount of time, but only if you follow the right strategy. Because if you're not doing the right strategy, then at this point, it will be a little difficult to get done with everything in practice and all of those things within this 3 month time frame. But
Yeah.
that
Yeah, that was pretty much it, guys. From our side, we'll check a couple of questions from the chat, and then if you have any questions, you can maybe raise hands and then ask as well. So the first question is, how do I get a good standing certificate if I do not have it yet? Can I still register as a student? So Shiona, you can maybe DM us as well right after the call, but just to, summarize in one line, you can get that very easily from your international accounting body. How to get that and all of that, we would need to see the facts, which accounting body you actually pertain to, and then, we can get in touch. So you can DM us after the session. There, here in are our contact points. Then the second question is from Satbir. I reside in BC and I am awaiting PR. Can I register with CPA Ontario if I am a resident of BC? Does CPA Ontario requires us obtaining a study permit for registration? So what I believe, Satbir, here is as long as you are in Canada and you are living in Canada on whatever visa you are, if you would be there in Canada by the time of the exam, CPA Ontario, I don't think there is any particular requirement there.
CPA Ontario is pretty flexible.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about BC because we've had
Yeah.
students in our group who have faced some issues with BC because they
Yeah.
do require, a valid study permit. Um, But again, Sadhbir, this is something that maybe we can touch base on later, and then
Yeah,
we can add you in our community group as well,
yeah,
because a lot of students, we do have a lot of students from BC and
yeah.
different bodies across Canada, so they will definitely be able to help you
But
there.
we have seen a couple of students who came from different provinces just to attempt in
Yeah,
CPA Ontario
yeah.
with CPA Ontario. So I would bet that this is something which is achievable. Okay. Next question is,
Tirupala is asking.
can you repeat how many day two cases should be practiced ideally?
So
So
for day two, we generally say it's
5 to
good
8.
to practice 5 to 8 cases. But again, always if you are somebody who's writing in June, quality over quantity, even
Yeah,
if you do 4 cases, but you're able to debrief them
yeah,
very well, you're able to take learning from the first 2 cases, and the remaining two, you're able to do it in a
implement.
mock exam sort of a way. When we say
Yeah,
mock exam, what we mean is you actually write it in an exam like structure. You start and finish the case exactly within that 5 hour time frame. You don't exceed
yeah,
the time you allocated to each AO and things like that.
yeah.
Then that will definitely be helpful for you, even if you write 4 cases.
And when we say debrief, debrief well, obviously that's a subjective comment from our side. Debrief well, generally we mean if you're writing a case for say 5 hours, debrief it for 6, 7, 8 hours, 9 hours, howsoever long you want to, because the more you debrief, the more you will learn out of it. Let's say, it is a Monday, you'll or say let's say you wrote your day two case on a Sunday, and then you can debrief that day two case over the next 3, 4 days, because you are learning out of it so that
And
you can.
when we say debrief, what we mean is that you take the case you wrote and then you take the CPA body's response that they issued for that case, and you compare both of them.
Yeah,
So that is what we mean by debriefing. So what happens is, for example, in the bill and hold arrangement question example that I took, so if you receive that question in your case practice that you did and you attempted it, now you are debriefing and you act. And when you debrief, you will actually see that how the CPA body responded to that question,
yeah,
and how you could have responded to it. Different perspectives, you're able to see how they integrated case facts into it,
yeah,
what structure they followed. This is all the things we mean when we say debrief the case.
yeah,
These are all the learnings that you take when you write cases, when you debrief them. If you compare it with a student who just keeps writing cases but does not pay attention to the CPA issued response, then
yeah.
obviously he'll just continue making the same mistakes because he never corrects himself, right?
That's yeah,
But for
correct.
somebody who's debriefing, the next time you write another case, you will know that, okay, these are the mistakes I don't have to do. These are the improvements that I need to incorporate. So
Correct.
that is what we mean when we say quality over
Yeah.
quantity.
And just in case for any of you who is not a part of the course, or may not even get a chance to get on the course for any reason, could be whatsoever, still join our community, attend these free of cost coffee chat sessions that we conduct every now and then. For any of you who is appearing June, there will be limited coffee chats, obviously until the end of June. Go through our YouTube channel. There is a lot of content there. Go through those resources and you will learn a lot, right? So that this is also a part of the learning process, not just technicals, not just self-reviewing your own case. Try to listen to what other tutors are saying, or what your like how your peers are performing. So try to imbibe all these learnings and try to incorporate in your own cases and in your preparation format. Any further questions, everyone? Okay, all right. So yes, I think we can call it a Saturday then, and take the time off, and really appreciative of all you guys who took time to attend the session today. And just in case, which would be the case, that if you have any questions in the future as well while you're preparing, reach out to us, reach out to me, reach out to Guneet directly on the DMs, or even as a part of the group, and ask questions. Try to learn more and more. And if someone is not even appearing in 2026, maybe is planning for 27 for whatever reason, still just try to be in touch with the community so that you can give a shot at CFE as soon as possible.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone. We really appreciate your time, taking out the time to be on the call on a weekend. But yeah, hope you have a good rest of the weekend.
Right.
Bye bye. Thank you
Thank you
so
very much, guys.
much.
Bye bye.